Welcome to another episode of OG55. OG is back in the house after I had a little stint. We'll talk about it. A lot of issues going on over here with me, but we're reacting today to our FreshBaked video all about the new management at the Disneyland Resort. Our boy Dave, awesome friend of the channel, content creator, crushes it with this next video. We're going to watch the video, react to it up next on OG55. Let's go. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We have an excellent show lined up for you all today. We are reacting to Mr. Dave from FreshBaked, all about Disneyland Resort Management. I am back. I had a crazy week. I went on Sunday to Universal Studios with this fine gentleman right here, and we just got out of the Kung Fu Panda show, and I misjudged, and I rolled my ankle and hit the floor, okay? And I knew it was bad. I knew when I hit the floor, this is not going to be good. I get up and it still hurts, you know? And I'm like, but I'm walking, so probably didn't break it. Next morning I wake up and my ankle is the size of a tennis ball. So I went to the ER. Thankfully, I just sprained it, so nothing serious. They put like a little brace on it. I'm good. I get home from the ER for my ankle and I'm like, God, I feel like crap though. I feel like a truck hit me. So I'm like, oh no, what if I got COVID? I take a COVID test and I have COVID. So I sprained my ankle and got COVID this week. So I am a hot mess.
Oh my gosh. Like, it had to be like both ends of the spectrum. It had to be something like physically with your body, like spraining your ankle and then going right into the Rona.
Into the Rona, dude. And it was like embarrassing calling my work. Because it sounds like such an elaborate story just to get out of work. And it really wasn't. And I'm like, I promise you, I'm telling the truth. This really fucking happened to me this week. It is what it is. But George, it's good to be back talking to you, brother. Where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you're feeling much better on both ends of the spectrum. So glad you're back. I missed my partner in crime. Miss doing this with you. And yeah, so let's do how we always do it on OG55. And yes, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
Yes, there he is. And you can find us doing kind of talks like this on Citrico Central, but we do it on location in the field. So we have a recent bar chat at Moe's Tavern talking all about theme park nostalgia. So if you like this format, you will like the bar chats because it's the same kind of talking stuff, conversations, but it's in the actual theme park. So head over there and check that out for sure.
And before we dive into it really quick, comment down below whether it be at Disneyland, Universal, Downtown Disney, what have you, in your opinion for the next bar chit chat on Citrico Central, where would you like the next location for us to be? Comment down below.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know. We will do it. All right, so here we go. This is from FreshBaked. It says here, new Disneyland Management, same story, question mark. Now, we're not going to watch the whole video. We're going to watch just a little clip here. George, you brought this to my attention, so I'm going to go hit play, and we will do how we always do. We will watch and react. Let's go.
It's been years since the Royal Street Bachelors have been a thing here at Disneyland. And it brings to mind a conversation I wanted to have. We mentioned at the outset that there's new management in place here. Ken Potrock is no longer president of Disneyland. He had a 3 or 4 or 5 year run. New management is in place. This is something that we've known about now for a couple of months. I want to say it was back in January that it was announced. Thomas Mazloom will be taking over, or is taking over now, the chief executive here at Disneyland. And the conversation obviously goes to what's going to happen now at Disneyland. What should we expect? And as I mentioned in our State of DC report we did a couple months ago, probably not a lot. We probably shouldn't be expecting a whole lot because that's just how, Disneyland is what it's been for the past, decades. There hasn't been a lot of volatile changes in the park since I've been covering it now for 13 years. It just kind of always is what it is. But I would say this.
I respectfully disagree with him on that, though. Just with the timeline, right? I think in the last decade, there's been a lot of changes. And I think related to what I'm going through right now, the Rona, is when that pandy hit, we saw a lot of changes with the annual pass program. We saw a lot of changes with the reservation system and things like that. So I agree with him in the sense where Disney does sort of get stuck in their ruts for years and years, and it's hard for them to break out of that. But I don't agree with him on the timeline because a decade ago, you're looking at 2015 now. It was very different in 2015. But what say you, George?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the length amount of time is, you go back to the 2012, 2013, 2014. It was a completely different ball game than when you look at today, prior to the pandemic and after. But lots of things that even Dave gets into that basically we had over a decade, and now that we don't have anymore, that's a tremendous change. At least, whether it's good or bad.
Right, exactly.
That the park is less than it was 13 years ago. The park 13 years ago was more than it is today, and in a lot of definable ways. We just did a report, construction report, where I did give Disney a lot of credit for this park is as up to date as in terms of maintenance and rides being open and operational, and then fixing features of the park. Oh my gosh. I'm looking at this queue right now for...
And you know what? And props to Dave for that. Because in our community, in this space, or the community and the content creation space, it's very easy to just report the negative. It's very easy just to say when things are broken. But very few times do people celebrate and report on the good news. And that's why I really like and respect Dave, because he does both. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? He celebrates the good, but he'll call them out when it's bad. So kudos to Dave on that.
The Tom Sawyer Island boats. Look at this. The boat just pulled in over there, right? Usually, everybody who's going to ride can fit in that little pen.
For the raft.
That's for the raft?
That's for the raft to go over to Tom Sawyer Island.
That's insane, dude. This is on the 20th. So this was, at the time of this recording, this was yesterday.
Dock area right there. But this is the...
So, at the time he uploaded it, it was... But this was St. Patrick's Day on the 17th.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Queue right here. All this right here. That's queue. The queue for Tom Sawyer Island is halfway around the river.
What?
That's 3 rotations. It's gonna take those guests at least 2, probably 3 boats.
Now here's the thing. Here is the thing. Now I can admit when I'm wrong, and I have admitted when I'm wrong. I've admitted that with Dark Universe at Epic Universe years ago, I made the argument: do people care about these monsters? Are they relevant? It's a 100-year-old franchise. Is it going to matter? I'm wrong on that. I think it's going to be the knockout hit of the entire park at this point. I was wrong, but there were a lot of narratives out there that Disney is killing their brand, and that it will catch up to them. When is it going to catch up to them, fandom? It doesn't seem like there's a lot of pullback with the brand. I mean, I get it. We can blame operation stuff with maybe the lines are a little longer than they should be, or this, that, and the other. But no matter how you cut it, it's busy. People still love going to Disney. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't seem like people are really tiring of the Disney brand. Again, I'm not saying that that this line isn't indicative of other issues too, but clearly there are a lot of people in these parks, and clearly people still love the Disney brand, regardless of all the drama that has gone on with Disney in the past. What would you say, 5 years or so? Mm-hmm. So I just want to put that out there because, there has been a lot of talk that Disney just they're not gonna be able to recover from this. And clearly they're doing okay for themselves.
to get across the river and go enjoy a half operating Tom Sawyer Island, as I talk about how, well things are maintained, where you can't even go out here in the front. It's completely inaccessible to guests. Half the attractions in there don't work. I can't talk about that anymore. It's going to make me sick. It's going to make me sick. What's happening to Tom Sawyer Island is going to make me sick. Okay, so what should we expect from Malzoom? I don't know, man. I don't know. But here's what I can say. Here's what I want to happen. In our previous conversation about this, I said 3 things. I'm going to make it 5 here. But the first 3 are the same, maybe in a different order. Number 1 is that they need to put more focus on live entertainment. Live entertainment here in the parks, it has been a dying thing, a slowly dying fossil. And this has been going on for more than a decade now, ever since I've been covering the park.
Kirk and the what was that group called? Kirk and the Hillbillies.
Hillbillies, yep.
Yeah, I used to love them. They used to have me in tears. They are so funny. And then they went to Knott's. I don't know if they're still over there.
The last I saw that they were, I don't know if they're still there.
Okay,
I think they were there last year.
Okay, well, I never gave them really a chance at Disneyland for years and years and years. And my late friend, rest in peace, Mr. Bruce Roberts. I do miss Bruce a lot. But he got me into the Hillbillies, and I'm glad he did. Amazing show. Disney, shame on you for letting them go. They need stuff like that back in the Golden Horseshoe. Like just fun entertainment. So I'm on the same page right now with Dave on this. I think that Disney can do a lot more. DCA is having a lot of issues with this as well. So
yes, ever since I've been covering the park, it's been the case that they keep canceling entertainment and not replacing it with anything. Most of Golden Horseshoe it's just absolutely criminal, a travesty, an attraction as historic and meaningful to this park. To not have a show there on that stage is absolutely criminal.
And I'm gonna be actually very controversial right now. Okay, I think, and I know a lot of fans are gonna push back on me with this. There are certain venues that just sort of play to certain things. Mm-hmm. And I know fans are iffy and divided about alcohol at Disneyland Park. If there is a venue in this park that is screaming serve alcohol, it's the Golden Horseshoe.
I agree.
It fits the theme perfectly, bro.
It does. And you know what, honestly, if they want to have the notion of like you can't take the alcohol outside, but you can have it, sitting down here.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, they'd make a mint off of that alone. Like, because the Golden Horseshoe, it fits that time era. It's like you're sitting at like the pub having a beer.
Right.
Like, well, obviously Disney wouldn't go that route, but you'd have like the showgirls up on the stage and everything like that was back in that time. But they could have like cowboys and like a pianist doing like basically like a smaller run view of like the Hoop-Dee-Doo.
Yes, exactly. Like the Hoop-Dee-Doo, like a small version of that, a funny comedic show. You sell alcohol, like beer and what have you. And it would just add to that saloon vibe, I think. And again, I know fans are really divided on should they serve alcohol at the park, but they already do. So at this point, it's kind of a wash anyway. I would put it in there. I think that's the location you do it in.
Yes. And whoever is responsible for that decision, whatever executive is responsible for that decision, has my deep and unabridged. I'm trying to be kind. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of you. I'm not a fan of what you've done to entertainment. I'm almost positive it's a single person that's doing this. I don't think it's coming from up high, because there's entertainment in other parks. I mean, then again, you go to other parks, you go to Knott's Berry Farm, Universal, they're cutting down live entertainment there as well. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe they feel like it's a sunk cost. There's the ROI is not good enough on entertainment. That's a conversation we'll get to in a second. But that's number one. I don't care what it costs. You need to bring that back. You need to restore things that people want in this park. Number two, treat your cast better. They treat their cast terribly. And this is not a new story. This is an old story, but it seems like it's getting worse. And they're asking cast to do more for the same money. They fight with them every time a contract comes up. There's a labor dispute. Every single time they have to threaten to walk out. And for what? A couple bucks. What are they making? $18 an hour now? $20 an hour? I mean, that's nothing in today's economy.
Well,
you cannot survive on it.
It's not that much, especially when you're not even full time, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, so it's even less than that. But we also have to take into consideration too, this isn't just at Disney. There's a lot of corporations that are doing this where it's basically one person doing a 5-person job,
Right.
getting paid the minimum. Which, does it suck? Yeah, absolutely. You know, but we also have to take in consideration with the type of company that Disney is, especially in the theme park space, what's going to happen when you keep on raising cast member wages? The prices for everything else for us as the consumer is going to go up.
And yes, as fans, we have to understand that. We have to understand that while we love our cast and we want our cast to be, you know, accommodated and paid well, as fans, we also have to understand that that will probably fall on us to some degree. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's how corporations work. You know what I'm saying? Disney's Bob Iger ain't going to take that hit. Okay. Daddy Josh ain't going to take that hit. It's going to be passed on to the consumer for right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? So that is a part of it, but I'm willing to pay a little more. I'm willing to pay a little more to have our cast taken care of. And, Disney does have great cast members. They really, really do. And, you know, I think what you do is that you just look, I think what you do is you pay more, you treat your cast good, but also be picky though. From Disney's perspective, if we're going to pay you more though, you know, we're going to be pickier too. Like we're going to hold to a higher standard. I think that's fair. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
Do you think that also kind of ties into the lack of entertainment?
Could be.
I mean, I know they have different contracts,
right,
when it comes to those, but I mean, do you think that because of a certain amount, like a entertainment kind of specialty kind of cast member can look over here and say, oh, well, there's more better perks or there's more benefits over here. This is a better pay than over here. So if Disney can't get anybody, then it's like, well, we're going to have to cut. You know, we can't keep that particular program opened if we can't get anybody.
Yeah. No, yeah, maybe it's possible.
They have 3 roommates to survive on that in here in Southern California. I don't know where you live, but here in Southern California, it is cost prohibitive to live and work here for, you know, anything less than, well, you need more than $20 an hour. I'll say that. But it goes beyond that also. There's been an observable trend to moving away from generational cast, generational wisdom. It is no longer the case where, hi guys, it is no longer the case where a cast member has worked here for 20 or 30 years. That's something that they actively try to discourage, as I understand it, which again is a downright shame. You need generational wisdom in order to make the guest experience better. The longer the cast are here, the better is the experience for you and me. It makes our experience better. We have more, they have more information, more knowledge. They can easily handle situations. They have experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a financial reason why they're doing it. I don't care.
Oh, there is a financial reason. I'll tell you what it is right now. It's the same reason why every corporation pushes you out when you get to a certain point. It saves them money because you know why? If you get to a point where you're at Disney for a decade, that person has seniority and can ask for more money. They'd rather have the new hire come in because they know the new hire is desperate. They'll settle for a lower wage.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather have the new hire come in for the lower wage than have the person who's been there for 10 years who's going to demand more. So exactly. Yeah, it's very much a monetary thing, and it's sad.
They need to fix that. Number 3, reservation system. Get rid of it. I can't say any plainer than that. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The reservation system sucks. It is bad for the guest. I understand Disney might try to, feed you a reason. They do it so they can manage staff, so they can manage inventory. They can better plan for crowds. If they know how many people are going to be here, they know.
I agree with Dave. I say get rid of it. But here's the thing. I think that fans now are so used to it at this point. I don't even hear much outcry about it anymore. People just kind of put up with it. I think it's become so part of the system at this point. I don't see Disney getting rid of it anytime soon. I really don't. What do you think?
Not for Disneyland. I think there's still some parts of it that still continue on at Walt Disney World, not as much as Disneyland, but especially when you have the different tiers of Magic Keys. If they get rid of the reservation system, that means they would have to rework the whole entire system of the Magic Keys, because why then would you have different tiers? I mean, yeah, there are certain aspects where the Inspire key gives you free parking. You basically get around the same percentage, of merch and food, but to have four different keys.
Yeah.
If you get rid of basically those tier systems are there for the reservation system.
Yeah, they'd have to you're right, George. That's a great point. You would have to reconfigure the entire Magic Key program. This reservation system is not going anywhere anytime soon. I promise you that.
How many people they have on cast or on stage? They already know. They already know. They didn't need it before. They were doing just fine without it. Pre-COVID, pre-reservation system, they were doing just fine. It wasn't a problem. And they were making a ton of dough. They were making plenty of money, and that they didn't have to worry about cost cutting, employee hours, if that's the true reason, or whatever the case may be. It is also a complete and total myth that the family from Colorado is going to get locked out. They show up here. If there's no reservation system, they can show up to the park and be told they can't get in. That never happened. It's never happened, and at least not for an entire day. There have been cases, very rare cases, where the park was exceptionally busy on a given day, let's say during the holidays, like Christmas Eve or something like that. But it was just for an hour or two. They just needed people to leave. They just had to wait for.
But I don't know. We have a mutual friend, right? Sammy.
Yes.
She's not from California. I won't say where she's from, but she's not from California.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't she have that exact same problem though? She tried to cut.
She showed up and there was no reservations. Well, first she didn't even know she needed a reservation. She thought that she could just purchase the ticket that day, walk in, you're all good. I explained to her, especially on a weekend, it's best that you already have your ticket and have a park reservation. She waited for the next day after the fact that she bought the ticket, because it was too late. They had already checked into their hotel. She bought the tickets, waited to see if any reservations came up. Nothing happened. She still had the ticket for another time, but she ended up taking, I think, her nephew to Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah. So it does happen. But yeah, I mean, it's probably not like super common, but it does occur occasionally. It happened to our friend, so.
1,000 people to walk out before they let more people in, that kind of thing. But I can't remember in the 13 years that I've been covering this park where I should say that the 8 years prior to the 5 years post-COVID, do that math, where it has been the case that they had to completely close the park. The only time I remember that being the case really was that 24-hour event, the all-nighter for the first day of the 60th. But that's such a rare situation, an exceptional situation. It's an outlier that doesn't count. The reservation system is good only for Disney because they can control when you get into the park. They have turned me into a weekday visitor. I used to be a weekend visitor. I no longer go to the parks on the weekends anymore. And it's not because I don't want to, it's because of the reservation system.
Right.
They have forced me, they pushed me into that role because they want me as a Magic Key holder to fill that gap. They want me to stay out of the park on the weekends. They want me in the parks during the week because...
Oh, it's from a business perspective, it's freaking brilliant.
Oh,
I mean, it really is. From the business end of it, it's perfect for Disney,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, that's where they're not going to get rid of it. Yeah, as much as they say, it's for the consumer, it's for the guest experience to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, it's a corporate business. They're going to do what they have to do,
Yeah, exactly. They get way more perks from it than I don't even know. I can't even think of one perk that the average person gets from this reservation system. Like what would even be a benefit at this point? Because it's not like you go and the parks are like less busy.
Yeah, every single day it's busy. Like Abby and I went on the 19th, which was a Wednesday. I don't know if it was like the first day of spring break, for everybody. It was ridiculously busy. Like it was busy where Pirates was 55 minutes. Goofy Sky Skull was 120 minutes.
Dang. Oh, too bad for Tones. He would have been sad.
Yeah.
Goofy Sky School.
The weekends are for the single day ticket holders. Now, I've added 2 more to this that I'm going to try to get to real quick. After dark parties, either go all the way or get rid of them. Everybody that I talked to, I stopped going last year. I went to one last year, and that was the Disney Channel night because it was the new one. But I skipped every other one, Star Wars night, Valentine's or whatever, Sweethearts night. I did go to Oogie Boogie, but I'm questioning that one again this year. But I have some friends who still went this year to 90s night, and to a man, they have said, that's it, I'm done. It's cheap. They don't go all the way, and if you're not going to go all the way, just cancel it. That scene that I keep thinking of is that scene at the Fantasyland Theater with those 3 little pop-ups, the standees where they take a picture. Embarrassing that they're charging people $150 for that night and giving them 4 hours, 5 hours to be in the park and to take those pictures. It's embarrassing. And it's a blight on on Disney.
I gotta agree. Like for 90s night, for example, you and I were there. I was telling Ebba this because he was with us that night too. You should be able to walk into Disneyland and be immersed in the 90s. Like, you know, when you walk into Disneyland during Christmas time,
yes,
the Christmas just freaking hits you in the face. Like the minute you walk onto Main Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 90s should just hit you in the face. They should have 90s characters walking around just nonchalantly all over the place. They should have balloon vendors selling balloons that look like that era, like how the balloons looked in the 90s.
Like I don't
everywhere.
understand like the first 90s night, and honestly, this happened like with the first Sweethearts night and the first Star Wars night. Like as far as like when they first started them, they did go all out. Like they had the fireworks with the Disney afternoon music, and it just seems like as each time goes by, where they keep bringing these events back, they knock something off that the roster.
Yeah.
For instance, like this 90s night, no fireworks show. You know, it's like there's things like why.
Well, and that was the coolest thing. That was the thing that you wanted the most when you went to the
I wanted like the music pumping, like with the Disney afternoon, with the fireworks. And it was like, as I said, I still enjoyed myself. It was still a great time.
Yeah.
I went both days, but for the price value of the tickets, I can honestly say, I don't know if I'd do it again.
Yeah, it's a tough sell, you know. Like I'm with you. Like I go for the company that I'm with. You, Ebba, Abby, you know, the group. You know what I'm saying? But but the event itself.
Like if you would have went by yourself.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, but I mean, like if you would have went by yourself, thinking you were going to get this high end '90s nostalgia kind of thing,
didn't get it.
You would have been like, okay, I get it. There's certain things that it's better if you do as a group, but you still should have enough fun going on if you were to go solo.
Oh yeah. And I'm telling you, man, we have ideas. I'm telling you, if they would have had a projection map, Michael Eisner on that castle saying, hello, I'm Michael Eisner, head of the Walt Disney Company, fireworks shot off, and that kicks off 90s night, you would have, man, that would have been so epic, dude.
Like, and even going back to, oh, that would have been like, yeah, like literally, like if they would have kicked it off, like as soon as 9 p.m. hit,
dude,
like the spotlights go to Cinderella Castle. You see Eisner's face on there saying, hi, I'm Michael Eisner, president of the Walt Disney Company. Oh, come on. Like
boom, you know, crazy. Yeah. It would have been intense, you know, but there's so much, and you had a great idea.
CEO of the Walt Disney Company.
CEO. Yeah.
But even with Sweethearts night, like, now mind you, me and Abby did get like rained out and everything, but take the rain out of the equation, a lot of it was just photo ops,
right,
and specialty foods. They should have had like a projection show, maybe playing Bella Notte with like Lady and the Tramp, and like I don't know, just do something that would fit like the Sweethearts like Valentine's Day theme.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you had a great idea for 90s night, which have a special showing of Fantasmic as it was seen when it premiered in the 90s.
Oh man, that would have been worth the ticket in itself. Just
bro,
that.
You don't even have to do a fireworks show. Do that.
Yeah, if they wanted to replace it, literally, you had 2 nights for 90s night, whether whoever was going on the 4th or the 6th, and they literally, I'm for sure Disney has all the resources of that stuff that they literally could have, and they could even brought back an interpretation of the dragon because it would have been the 90s dragon.
Yes. And then here's the other thing too. The music choices. They had Hanson and stuff like that. Okay, that's fine, I guess. But Disney, you had the MMC in the 90s, the Mickey Mouse Club. They released albums, the MMC. I think they released one album, maybe more, but I know they released at least one album. Why don't you play some of that music? I mean, that would have been cool. That's your own IP. Why didn't they play any of the Disney afternoon music on Main Street? Gummy Bears, Rescue Ranger, that kind of stuff on Main Street. Like you have so much 90s nostalgia within the Disney wheelhouse, and you're playing Hanson? I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot more that they could have filled in the gaps for sure. That
Yeah.
really makes, I mean, $150 a ticket. Like, you have to think that's around the price of a 1-day ticket.
Yeah.
Of a tier 3 day. But when you, and even that's kind of steep, but people can still have a full Disneyland day. But when you have a ticket price that is worth a tier 3 Disneyland day, but it's only worth 4 hours.
Right.
And you can only do so much out of that 4 hours. I don't know.
Come on. It's 90s night. You're not even playing Dog Pound?
Yeah. Backup video.
I'm just kidding. No, that would have been kind of cool. No, I'm just kidding. They shouldn't. Family park, you don't do that. But
do you know what Disney really could have done was, dare I say it, take the approach of how Universal did for New Year's Eve. They had certain areas that played different music of that time zone. So you could have had all of 90s, but you could have had maybe one section of the park play pop, 90s pop. You could have had one section playing 90s hip hop and R&B. You could have had 90s Disney music. You could have had different sections depending on what kind of music you're into.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Actually, the most 90s area of the whole park was Toontown because it actually has a 90s Disney soundtrack to it now. It's all Disney afternoon stuff.
Yeah.
Like Toontown felt the most 90s out of everything just by being Toontown.
Yeah, exactly.
Management that because it just screams cash grab. It screams taking advantage of guests and their desire for, vintage.
Okay, speaking of 90s really quick of like meet and greets and everything. Where the heck was Roger Rabbit?
Yes. Come on, that's a great point. Now, I do know there are some ownership stuff going on there with Spielberg, I believe, or whatever, but you could have worked it out, I'm sure. They work with Spielberg, so come on.
And it was for 2 nights for 90s night.
Come on. That would have been oh, I didn't even think about that, bro. That would have been fantastic. Oh my gosh. Come on.
Or nostalgic nights like that, and we keep thinking it's going to be better than it was, and it's worse every single time. Get rid of After Dark events or go all the way. If you can't do a good show, go all the way, which brings me to the 5th point, and that is put on a good show. That was such a huge thing with Walt Disney. You used to hear him talking about good show or bad show. What is good show? What is bad show? Disney's not, in a lot of cases, this park is packed right now, and the attractions are up and running, and it's jamming here, but there's still plenty of cases where it's just plain bad show. And Disney, they've been putting all their focus onto, ROI and per guest spending. That was a Chapek thing. Oh my God, it made me crazy listening to him talk about per guest spending. I swear I was going to take a hostage if I heard him say that one more time. That's such an I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear a Disney executive talk about per guest spending or ROI, not even on an investor's call.
Well,
what they need to be doing, that's been their sole focus is on profit.
I respectfully disagree with that. I mean, when you're speaking to investors, you have to do that. I mean, you have to talk about the money end, but right. Yeah, but he's right though. Chapek did go too far with it. It was every interview he was talking about that,
I feel like in that moment, like during the pandy, and then Chapek getting put into the hot seat of the CEO position and everything. He had to do what he had to do with a lot of the cost cutting and everything, because Disney was in a position that a lot of companies were dealing with at the moment, was like, how do we keep our heads above water? I get that. Where I disagree with Chapek was, as you just mentioned, he went too far. He like took where he should have only cut a piece of it, and he cut majority going all the way down to the stem. You know, and that's where he should have been more cautious about like how much and what he was cutting.
Right, exactly. Chapek would have been okay if he was like the second part of the equation and not the whole thing. You know, like we talked about co-CEO or like a CEO president kind of duality there. But just have the money guy out there just running the whole kit and caboodle. It didn't work. Chapek is a smart dude. He is a smart dude, but he's not the right guy for this role.
Agreed.
ROI and guest spending, they've been obsessed with it. And what their obsession needs to be is the guest. You need to be the obsession. I need to be the obsession. They need to be obsessed about making us happy. And then again, this probably isn't good for the bottom line, but I don't care. I just don't care. You're gonna make money. There's plenty of money to be made here. It's obvious. It's so very obvious. Look, Epic Universe is going around. They're building 15 different theme parks around the world. Why? Because they make money. But here's the difference. Think about what, back in the day when Disneyland became what it was, because Walt had passion and he went for it, and he didn't care. Okay, he didn't care. He was more concerned about the guests and putting on a good show than he was about how much it cost. He risked everything multiple times to build this park and to build the Disney company. Risked everything multiple times. Risked it all. His own personal financial well-being to make this happen. And he did it with his own vision, and he didn't listen to anything else. You talk about manifestation. Disneyland is a manifestation of one man's dream. And you can compare that to what's happening at Epic Universe. They don't care. They're building the park they want to build, and they're going for it. They're going for it. They're thinking about the guest. They're not thinking about ROI, although I'm sure the stuff is going to be expensive. I'm sure the merch is going to be expensive. I'm sure the food's going to be expensive. I'm sure there's going to be ways where they're going to try to recapture some of that money. They're going to upcharge you in certain ways. That's all going to happen. But it starts with putting on a good show. And everything that's coming out of Epic Universe is screaming good show. And Disney needs to get back into that business. They need to get back into the good show business. So new management, President Thomas Masloom, I hope you're listening. I hope you have an ear to the ground, and you actually have the power and ability to do something about this, because I don't think I'm alone in this. I hear people talk about all the time about cast, about entertainment in the parks, about the reservation system. I hear people talk about this all the time. This is not new ground. This needs to happen in order to create a look at. I know I've been long-winded about this, and hopefully you're still watching. Hopefully my passion is at least getting to making it watchable. Because here I am, I'm thinking about average view duration and click-through rates in my head right now, and I shouldn't. I should just be concerned about getting, my energy out there to you. Disney they need to grow. And
that's why I like doing these reaction videos, because Dave has an enormous audience. Mm-hmm. And OG55 is a small channel. I mean, it's only 6,000 subs, right? But if we can even reach even just 10, 15 more people that maybe didn't know this video was here, I think that's a success. Get the word out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's important. That's why I love doing these reaction videos with our fellow content creators, is because it kind of amplifies the voice. You know what I'm saying? Whether we're a small channel, I mean, but even if we can help in our own little way, I think that's cool, So
absolutely.
Their guests, they need to grow guests from the ground up, from little kids to teenagers to adults. That's how you build, that's how you maintain a guest fan base. Sure, the parks are busy right now. It's packed. It is so very busy. But they're full of guests like me. They've got me. I'm coming to Disneyland until I die, but I am going to die someday. You guys, Disney, I'm going to die someday. Who's going to replace me in the park? Is it going to be the disgruntled teenager on Twitter right now who's listening to everybody complain about how Disney's being, poorly run, and you know what I mean? Like the magic is gone. Disney isn't like it was. That is a pervasive thought going around social media, and you cannot escape it. And so it's going to seep into the consciousness of the kids you're trying to grow and turn into Disneyland guests. I'm not worried about Disneyland for the next 5 or 10 years. I'm worried about it in 20 years. I'm worried about long term. Grow your guests, and that starts with a good show, taking care of your cast, and getting rid of this.
I will say this to put Dave's mind at ease a little bit. Like I've said, I've been in this community a long time. The fandom hasn't changed. Even 20 years ago, it was the same. There were teenagers and kids. I was one of them. I was a teenager in the mid 90s on the Disneyland forums, and people were very negative back then. And we all grew up loving Disney anyway. So I think that it'll be fine at the end of the day. I think the brand will be fine in 20 years, because my generation that were teenagers in the mid 90s into those early 2000s, we had a lot of negativity online too. The fandom was not a positive thing back then either. And yet here we are, still loving the parks, still going all the time. So I think this generation will be fine, in my opinion.
And also too, with Disneyland forward, over the next, 4 or 5 decades, it's going to keep the parks revitalized and refreshed. And with all the new stuff coming on with Pandora and Coco, we could ever figure out where they're going, but essentially they're coming anyway, and then what else is going to be added on to, the expansion of Disneyland Park eventually with the Lilo and Stitch parking lot, possibly the change of Tomorrowland. We don't know what's up Disney's sleeve, because a lot of people have to remember, even Disney is looking into the future. They don't look even to 5 to 10 years. They look 15, 20, 30 years down the road. And they already have ideas like stirring up for the next many decades. So, to help Dave out to keep his mind at peace, I don't see anything happening to Disneyland. If anything, I see it growing even more with a lot of fans. And also too, Dave, even when it is your time to go, you are unreplaceable. There's only one you, Dave. So always think to the fact of, we don't want anyone to replace you as you are the Fresh Baked. So
there is Mr. Fresh Baked.
Stupid reservation and just making this a fun place to be and people to be excited about. Rant over. And 12 minutes later, and the Tom Sawyer queue has actually gotten
all right.
longer.
So great video from Mr. Fresh Baked. Obviously, if you're not subscribed to Dave and you're a Disneyland fan, I don't know what's going on, but if you aren't by any chance, make sure you subscribe to Dave, show him some love, smash that like button, just like OG did. George, any final thoughts before we get out of here today?
Just the fact that I thought it was a great video by Dave. As I said, I watched it last night and I thought, well, he brings up a lot of interesting points, some obviously that we agree with, some that we don't, but hey, that's okay. We're all allowed to have our own opinions and thoughts on the process.
Absolutely.
And the fact I thought, I think this could be a nice little beefy review that we could have a conversation with. And I'm glad that we were able to do so. Absolutely. Where can everybody find you on social media, the Italiano? Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55. Yep. So if you like vlogging, George does a lot of in-park vlogging over there. Sometimes I'm in the videos. A lot of times Abby, his fiance, is in the videos. Sometimes, it'll be Mr. Webba. Whoever's with us, whoever's there that day, part of the crew, will be featured in those in-park vlogs. But we also do like sit-down bar chat videos where we kind of take this format, this conversational kind of format in the theme park setting. So if you're into more conversational, nerdy talk stuff, well, Citrico Central does that too. So there you go. Yeah. So it's a channel of vlogging in park, but there's a lot of different variations to that in park kind of angle, which makes it kind of unique. So, but thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. And until the next time, see you later.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.